than 500 types of potatoes available globally, but how do you know which ones to choose? Hi, I'm Murray from the YSE Cookery School, where we help to sharpen your skills in the kitchen and keep your cookery journey moving forward. In this video I'm going to explain about the different types of potatoes that are available and when to use them. I'm also going to explain about how to make the perfect potato crisps, or chips as they're known in every single country outside of the UK. Anyway, there's a couple of key points to making sure that your chips are crispy and not soggy, and I'll come back to that in a bit. Now, generally speaking, all you need to remember is that all potato varieties fit somewhere on a scale, with waxy potatoes at one end and flowery potatoes at the other end. The waxy potatoes hold their shape really well when they're cooked, and they're generally firmer to the bite, so they're great for things like salads or simply just boiling and dressing with olive oil or butter, some herbs, salt, pepper, etc. They go really well in soups or stews where the potato needs to stay intact and kind of hold its shape instead of just disintegrating into a mess and giving the dish a really unpleasant texture. Now, flowery potatoes at the other end of the scale fluff up really nicely when they're cooked, making them ideal for chips, roast potatoes or baking baked potatoes. If you've ever had homemade fries that are a bit firm in the center and kind of a bit dark on the outside, maybe a bit soggy, that's kind of a sign that the potatoes that you're using are a bit waxy, or they haven't been washed properly to remove some of the starch. Now, there are also varieties that are sort of near the center as well that have both waxy and flowery qualities, and these make great all-rounders. They tend to have a really creamy, nice consistency that's needed for making really smooth mash. So to relate that to some of the more common varieties that you might know, waxy potatoes would be things like Anyas, okay, which are really great for salad. Jersey Royals, probably the most well-known globally, and these are region protected, okay, so Jersey Royals should only really be grown on the island of Jersey itself. Usually they're just served boiled with the skins on and dressed in butter and herbs. Then you've got Charlottes, which are sort of slightly long oval, slightly waxy with a really subtle flavour, and they're really great for boiling whole and adding to salads and things. Common potatoes in the middle of the scale that make great all-rounders are things like Desiree, the red skin potatoes with a mild waxy texture, and their creamy yellow flesh makes really good mash. And something that's very common to find are called white potatoes, as they're known, such as Arnoe or Alba. These are really great all-rounders, and if you're ever unsure about which potato to buy, you're probably pretty safe sticking with a bag of white potatoes from the shop. And then there's the flowery varieties, things like King Edwards, which have a white skin and little pink eyes, and they're really fluffy texture, which means they're the best suited for roasting or baking or chipping. Maribel have an incredibly creamy texture as well, and they're one of the best potatoes for mashing. Maris Piper, which is one of the most commonly grown potatoes in the UK, and these are great for roasted potatoes, mash, boiled, chipped, or even baked potatoes, sort of despite being a bit dry and floury. You've got Russets, which are great for making chips and wedges, or Rooster, the deep red potato that's incredibly versatile, and these can be mashed, boiled, steamed, baked, but they're particularly good when they're roasted. Now, in addition, there are new potatoes, and these are the immature potatoes that have been harvested early in the summer, before the leaves of the plant have died back and the potatoes are fully grown. And they can be any variety. The skin's usually quite thin and tender, and they're usually just boiled in some salted water and then tossed with butter or fresh parsley. A little bit like you'd serve Jersey Royals. Okay, now as I said at the start of this clip, there's a few simple points to making great potato chips, or crisps if you like, at home. Firstly, you want to have fairly flowery potatoes, great for chipping. Slice them on a mandolin so they're really thin, but more importantly so that they're even, okay? It's important that the slices are nice, even size, so they'll all cook at the same time, all cook at the same rate. And mandolin's a wonderful piece of kit for the kitchen, but they do require some care so you don't injure yourself. And it's one of the reasons why we've got a free knife skills course. You can find the link in the description below if you're interested in that. But coming back to the chips, the next point is to wash them really well with cold water, and this removes all the excess starch. Okay, change the water 2 or 3 times and keep doing that until the water isn't cloudy anymore. Now this is vital as the starch will make the crisps soggy, and it's also the reason why the crisps might burn before they're actually fully cooked through. Now once they're washed, you need to dry them really well. Okay, water and oil don't mix very well, so either with a tea towel or I prefer to use a salad spinner if you've got one. A good 20 seconds in the salad spinner will get rid of all the excess moisture. You want to have some clean sunflower or veg oil and heat it to around 150 degrees. Now to do this really well, it's ideal to use a sugar thermometer or a digital thermometer to check the temperature of the oil and make sure it's correct. It's also important to make sure the saucepan's never more than at the most half full of frying oil. So there's plenty of room for the oil to expand when the cold potatoes hit the oil, purely for safety. Now if the temperature is too much hotter than 150, they're going to burn on the outside too quickly before they're cooked through. If it's too cold, then they'll just absorb the oil and they'll be greasy. Fry them off in small batches. And you need to cook the potatoes until they've just about stopped sizzling. When you're frying something, that sizzling indicates that there's still moisture or still water in the product, in this case the potato. Okay, and if you take them out of the oil too early, that moisture is still going to be in there and they'll be soggy when they cool down. So if you fry until all the sizzling stopped, you can be really sure there's no moisture left, and once they're drained on a paper towel and cooled down, they should be really nice and crunchy. Okay, and last but not least, as always, give them some salt. Perfect. So I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions regarding this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Remember to hit the subscribe button for our weekly clips to help transform your cooking. Thanks for watching. See you soon.